Hey everybody, welcome back to another free spoken episode. We're gonna hop on my Tumblr, which is Heaven on Earth 888. Now, if you want to check out my Tumblr, you would have to download the Tumblr app and make a Tumblr account and then search me up thereafter. But actually, it's like 2 in the morning where I'm from, and I can't sleep. And I've been going through a learning process when it comes to the application of enlightenment and what I teach about aligning to creation. And I've been debating internally whether I should wait for this internal learning session to finish, and then I can come and talk about it afterwards, or if I should speak on it while it's happening. And I was at a crossroads, and here I am now speaking on it, so I guess I made my choice. Or my lack of being able to sleep has made it for me. But transparently, truthfully, there's a big shift in my physical reality that I'm actively manifesting. And so it's fickle as I talk about this, because I'm going to be speaking about my circumstances in different pretenses. And it's actually exactly what I want to talk about. The word pretense as in how we're communicating via our internal mental conversations in this present now moment. You know, are we communicating in relation to our desires? In what tense? In a future tense, in a past tense, or in a present tense? How do you communicate with yourself in relation to your desires? In what tense? And so, because again, I'm looking to physically, externally, I'm just going to be transparent because I feel like it'll be much more helpful if I'm transparent. I'm looking to physically, externally relocate. However, I'm not looking to go out of my way to successfully complete this manifestation. I'm choosing to simply create an internal energetic potency through affirming, and then allowing my alignment to creation to surprise me with the result. That's the avenue I decided to take. I just thought it would be much simpler. However, I do have other goals that are equally in place as I have my goal of relocating physically. These other goals do involve the physical world as well. For example, I do have a desire to, I don't know if the word fame is accurate, but I'll say it for recognition purposes. I do have a desire to reach the masses, right? To be able to influence the masses in deep ways and to be able to teach them enlightenment. And I'm talking about humanity as a whole. And so I got multiple big goals going on at once, is what I'm trying to say. I'm also actively aligning myself to the manifestation of a team, so I don't necessarily need to work alone, as I am teaching humanity about original enlightenment and the integration process, the practicing process, etc., etc. And so I guess I'll just focus on those 3 primary big manifestation goals that I'm aligning to as we speak. Now, I house the intelligence of original enlightenment within me. Equally, I house my very imperfect, flawed human ego who was incarnated or born onto earth without knowing enlightenment, right? And so I have a split duality of aspect within me. It's literally split right in the middle of me housing the absolute perfectly pure, untouched intelligence of original enlightenment, living within or living alongside my flawed unenlightened, human ego. And so I want all these things to happen fast and immediately, I want, especially for me, something that what feels the most urgent in my energetic or emotional state is my physical location. I wish to relocate physically to an environment that will be able to sustain my energetic makeup in a more comfortable manner, whatever that may be. However, it hasn't happened, and it's the effects of it not happening, me not relocating physically, are beginning to catch up to me in ways where I cannot ignore them anymore. I used to be, a lot of little things used to trigger me and I would deal with them. But when the idea of a physical relocation would trigger me, I'd be like, oh, it's too much of an issue to deal with. There's too many variables. I'm not going to deal with it. So I would just release it and let it go and deal with another trigger. But it's gotten to the point where I've dealt with most of my past wounds, most of my triggers, where I'm coming to, I only have a very few left, I have a very few left, and so we can't ignore the elephants in the room. And I say the elephants in the room because quite literally they're the size of elephants. They're huge. They're the biggest triggers, essentially, that I need to face in order to overcome them and successfully manage to relocate physically. And it's funny because as I say this, it all makes sense and comes to terms, but it's funny how I'm a procrastinator. Outrightly admit that. And so it's funny how I'm noticing how I procrastinate by, well, not necessarily procrastinate, right? But it's kind of like when you're doing a math test in school and they're like, if you have a hard question, skip it and wait till the end. And I kind of did that with my triggers as well. Anyway, let's continue. I also apologize if this is like all over the place. This is kind of like a therapy session for me to kind of get my thoughts in order as well. Okay. So, yes, I started feeling very emotionally disrupted because I couldn't deny or ignore the fact that I am presently right now uncomfortable with my physical, external, third dimensional location. And so what is that telling me? If I can become aware that I'm getting triggered because I'm becoming aware that my observations are telling me, what are my observations telling me? That I'm physically existing somewhere that I don't want to be. And so that's obviously going to lead my emotions to a negative reaction. So I'm going to feel bad. And so I started saying, okay, Carla, it's gotten to the point where you're getting so angry where you have to sit down and solve it, like do something about it. And then so right away, the first thing I always go back to is there's only the present now. There's only the now. So where are you right now, Carla? Where are you right now? And then I can go ahead and admit, okay, well, I'm presently identifying myself with being the version of me who is physically living or existing in unwanted circumstances or an unwanted environment. I can honestly and transparently say that that's my true, real identification of this present now moment. And so what's the next step? The next step is realizing, well, Carla, you know enlightenment more than anyone. So what's the next step? Next step is logically, factually, and mathematically. You need to shift that present now understanding to be a new understanding that in this present now moment, you physically exist and live and reside in an environment or circumstances that make you feel good. that work with your energetic makeup, that motivate you, inspire you, give you energy, give you life instead of drain it, things like that. Okay, so that's the goal. Is only the present now moment, and whatever I want to experience, I need to experience it dominantly in this present now moment. So what's the next step, Carla? The next step is realizing, where do we house our focus or attention or awareness or observation? All in the internal mental state, all within the internal mental state in this present now moment. And so enlightenment teaches us we become free when we can utilize our imagination and our mental conversations to allow us to dive into or identify with new beliefs, therefore shifting our present now understanding of what reality is for us, therefore shifting our present now energetic alignment, therefore aligning ourselves to new manifestations, new creations, therefore experiencing new life experiences. And so the next step now, Carla, is to admit, have you been spending more time identifying with the fact that you live and reside in an unwanted environment, or have you been spending the majority of your time dwelling, feeding emotion and validity and reality into the truth that you are residing or living in an environment where you want to be? And I'm like, okay, well, the truth is that I've been feeding belief, truth, emotion, validity, and life into the truth or the belief or the identity that I'm living or residing in a physical location, which is not satisfying me anymore. It's not fulfilling me anymore. That's the truth. So what's the next step, Carla? Okay, the next step is to basically correct it then. If what you want is not what you've been dominantly repeating and practicing, well, then start doing that. And so in that moment, it was just like anytime I would get a sense of uncomfort, and I felt like it was coming from because I was becoming aware of where I was physically located and where I'm living physically and how it's affecting me negatively, I would take a big breath, hold my breath, and then release it slowly. And I would go inside and I would say, it's because, what's a good, I would say an affirmation, but I'm not going to say the exact affirmation I was saying, but something like, I live in my desired location. Something so simple, could be anything. I live in my desired location. And I'm repeating that in my mind, that simple sentence. I reside in my desired location. I reside in my dream location. I live in my dream location. I live in my ideal location. I live in the perfect environment. Whatever. My mind, my thoughts, my awareness, my observations begin to get distracted. So when I repeat the sentence, I live in my ideal environment, my imagery, what my eyes are seeing, kind of gets distracted from my third dimensional reality to my imagination, solely because of the affirmation of the sentence I just reminded myself of, the truth I just reminded myself of, or the affirmation I just repeated. So whenever I would just believe in my life and I would become aware that, I'm in this environment that is not really feeding my creativity anymore, instead of being like, I'm feeding it and becoming a victim and feeling powerless and feeling frustrated and angry and I want to cry and I want to throw a tantrum, I would suck all that in, take a deep breath, hold it in like Kirby, and then release, and then I'm in my ideal environment. I live in my ideal environment. And that would trigger my imagination to start triggering like images or little scenes of what my ideal environment looks like. And as I repeat that, it's just a simple sentence. I live in my ideal environment. And I'm not repeating it like, I live in my ideal environment. I live in my ideal environment. No, I'm just like, I live in my ideal environment. And I'm just reminding myself that. And then some being able to just kind of like relax or sit into that, like, I live in my ideal environment. And so I'm distracted and I no longer feel negative. Now I feel good, relaxed, pleasure, satisfaction, fulfillment, relief, goodness. You know? And then I start getting more energy and I want to go for a walk. And in this walk, what am I doing in this walk? I'm becoming aware. And I'm telling myself, we're walking and we're walking in our ideal place to live. Like, so as I'm walking, I'm programming my mind. I'm telling my mind like we're walking and we're walking in our ideal living environment. And so every step I take, it's no longer in my old physical living environment. It's in my new one. You know, it's almost like I'm playing mind games with myself, but I'm allowing myself to play these mind games because these are beneficial and they're helping me. I also been really affirming there's no rush. There's just no rush because obviously these desires and manifestations I wish to align to, which obviously I'm going to. I mean, we all want things to happen overnight, but like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that things are happening, things have happened physically for me that I can see with my own external five senses when they haven't. And so I'm going to be honest and say, no, I haven't seen any literal physical movement or proof of my manifestation yet. I haven't seen it. And I've been affirming and I still haven't seen it. And what I want to say about that is keep on affirming, keep on going, keep on persisting in your reminders of your new truth. Keep on diving and dwelling and feeding emotion and reality and validity into your new repetitions. Keep on repeating that. Don't give up, don't stray, because there's always movement. And movement may be subtle. It may be movement that you're not presently aware of. There's just such an interconnectedness when it comes to creation as a whole that we mustn't lack faith or trust in our ability to successfully align to whatever creation we wish to experience, because the entire point is to acknowledge that there's only the now. There's only the here and now. And so whatever our awareness is, or whatever our point of focus, our point of awareness is in the here and now, in this present now moment, is what we're looking at, is what we're tunnel visioning our focus to, what we're setting our mind to. And so when you're fixed on a goal, and the goal is all the way at the end, all the way obviously at the finish line, and you're so fixed on that, that's all you're looking at, you're not looking at all the middle stuff because you're so fixed on the end. And so if there's only the here and now, and there's only the here and now fixed present moment, if my fixed present moment is at the finish line, there's no way I'm going to have insight on what's happening in the middle of the race. Because there's only one fixed focus point of awareness. There's only one point of fixed point focused awareness. And if my one point of focus or awareness is already taken up and being used by me focusing on the finished result, the end of the race, I'm not going to have insight or the capacity or availability to see what's happening in the middle. Okay? So don't worry about that. why would I worry about what's happening in the middle when my focus, my fixed point is at the end goal, because there's only the now. And if my goal is to successfully complete my goals, then that's where I want my fixed focus to be. And so as I'm affirming, I live in my desire, in the perfect environment. Like I lived in the perfect environment created for me, where I, thrive and flourish and I feel comfortable. I am not going to remove my focus within my mind on anything other than already the set fixed end goal. And so it's not how am I going to get there, how I got there. No, it's I'm here now. And it's any doubt that comes where it's like, well, what are you going to say? I'm here now. What are they going to say? What can you say? Like, what can you say? I'm here now. You can't say I'm not here because I'm here. So what are you going to say? So immediately all my doubts, one by one, get crossed off, because they're already like, none of them hold any validity or any weight. Like, you mean nothing to me. How can you tell me you're not there when I'm literally here? Yes, I'm there within my internal mental state with my internal 5 senses. But if my point of focus and awareness is that I'm there, then I'm there. And if I want to pull up an imaginary scene, then that is the only validation and confirmation I'll need. And so as I'm walking in the park, or as I'm in my environment and I'm, repeating or reminding myself of my present now truth, I live in my dream environment. Carla, we live in our dream environment. And as I just slowly get to relax into that and just like breathe into that and feel relief into it, and the anger and the frustration is gonna want to bark back at me and be like, no you're not, no you're not, no you're not. And what am I gonna say? Yes I am. Like, what are you gonna tell me? You really can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing, because here I am. I'm here. You can't tell me nothing, because there's only one fixed point of awareness, and my fixed point of awareness is in that I'm already all successful and I already succeeded in all my goals and accomplishments. And so there's only here. And so I'm watching you from the top. If I'm facing forward and looking forward, I don't know what's happening behind me. And that's kind of the same. That's the vibe. That's the energy. I'm not checking to see if it's true. I'm just living my life knowing it is internally, period. And so, okay, here we go again. When we have a fixed internal mental state, a fixed focus, a fixed perspective. And so we pretty much put a lens, almost like we put on a pair of glasses with our new truth, right? And so I perceive everything through the truth of I live in the perfect environment. And so I get up, I take a deep breath, and I repeat that. I live in my perfect environment. And I'm not gonna check my phone to see if I got an email of someone asking me to move. No, because I'm already here. I'm already here in my perfect, like right here, right now. I live in my perfect environment. The minute I'm saying it is it's happening, so I'm experiencing it now. And so why would I need someone to come tell me, hey Carla, you're moving, if I already moved? I'm already moving, you see? And so I have different wants and needs. My wants and needs have surpassed that of I want to move and relocate. Now it's I'm living in my perfect environment. Now that I'm here living in my perfect environment, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What do I want to try? Now we get to expand through that avenue, through that lens, through that fixed perspective, through that fixed lens, because that's our fixed point of focus, fixed point of awareness. And so let's say I get up and I'm reminding myself of my truth. I live in my perfect environment. And then something happens in my third dimensional reality, which proves to me that I don't live in my perfect environment. What am I going to do? I'm going to take a deep breath. And I'm going to tell myself, Carla, you know what to do. You know how to align to creation. So you're not a victim. There's no excuse. What are you going to do? You're not going to feed emotion and validity into it. You're going to go back to your fixed now, present now moment truth, because there's only the present now. And what is that? Right now, in this present here and now moment, I live in my desired reality. I exist and live in the perfect environment. And you just go back to you just go back to home base, go back and persist and go back. And you're going to start to have new reactions to things because you're going to start seeing them in a new lens. And the more you practice this act, the more habitual it'll get, and the more natural and normal it'll get, the more instantaneous and automatic it'll get, the more you'll have to try less and the more effortless it'll be. Now, it'll be like, instead of you having to force yourself to say, I live in my perfect environment, and you're having to regulate your nervous system over and over again, it's more like you get up and it's kind of just like a natural rhythm in your mind. It's more like when you sing a song and it's just now flowing in your head. It's like that. Why? Because what we are constantly hearing and repeating and having in our focus and our point of awareness, it's what's going to be in the forefront of our brain and going to be our present now focus. And so the more we repeat and continue to persist and repeat and feed more and more emotion and thought and imaginary scene and repeat and validity into our new desired affirmations, desired beliefs, desired truths, the more we're going to be able to energetically align with them and then actually physically manifest them. And this ought to say, don't ever give up, keep persisting, and don't ever become a victim or feel powerless or frustrated. Just go back to home base and do it again and start over. And if it makes you feel better, I probably had to start over like a gazillion times, seriously. But the truth is that there's no starting over. That's also like a facade, because we're always present now. There's always the present now. That's all there is, the present now. And so it's just about realizing that there's only the present now, Carla. So just go back to where you want to be in this present now moment. If you don't want to identify and focus and be aware or hold as your point of observation that you are presently now residing, existing, or living in an environment where you don't want to be, then simply stop identifying and repeating and believing and feeding emotion and validity and truth and belief into that. Create a new energetic potency exactly the way you know how to, by going within and repeating your new affirmation and making that your point of focus and your point of observation and your point of awareness and your perspective, the lens you choose to wear. And so you make your perspectives through this new lens that you presently now live and exist in your desired environment and reality. And so you make new decisions, you have new internal reactions, you have new internal mental conversations, you have new internal imaginary scenes, you feel a different way. And don't feel bad if you ever happen to, let's say something happens in the external third dimensional reality that triggers you into feeling angry or feeling like you don't necessarily feel like you're aligning to where you want to be energetically. Don't feel bad. It's okay. Just be like, okay, it's okay. Just go back to the drawing board, go back to home base, go back. The cool thing about this game is that it's very easy. It's very simple. The steps, again, I just said them again in this video. It's very simple. You just go within, create the energetic potency within, and make that your point of awareness. And when you fall off, you get back on. And rinse and repeat. That's it. And you just keep on going. And really, that's the advice. That's the advice, and that's the video. Just persist, don't give up. You're not a victim, and just go back to knowing what you know